Hi everybody, a very warm welcome as always to my channel, Nelly the Narcissist. Thank you so much for joining today. As quite a few of you already know, I do comedy as well as podcasts on this channel, and Nelly is the face, she's the channel motif, she's the character that I portray in my comedy skits, but I am not personally a narcissist, and those comedy skits, they're made for survivors to be like healing medicine. So if you haven't checked them out, and if you're in need of a laugh, then I'm going to link everything down below in the description box. And in these podcasts, I focus a lot on the spiritual aspects of NPD and narcissistic abuse, so people can gain a deeper understanding of what they have actually been through. Because in my opinion, psychology can only take us so far. It's like a train that has a final destination, but psychology just drops us off on a platform without going the full distance. That's my opinion. So it doesn't give us all of the answers that we so need. And a lot of people have already come to this conclusion themselves. So my channel is very specifically for the ones that don't find answers from mainstream. There are some subject matters which are going to be more spiritually focused than others. And so I make those videos, but other podcasts like the one that I'm doing today are more sort of practically based, because actually we need information about everything. In today's video, I want to speak about parental alienation, because I've had a few requests from both mothers and fathers that are in this situation, but also in the one-to-one sessions that I run, this is a theme that keeps on coming up. And when it's a theme like this, I feel like I really do need to speak about it. Parental alienation, it's a subject within this topic of narcissistic abuse that actually isn't that widely known. And I think that it needs a lot more discussion, because it is devastating to the parent that is alienated, and it's also abuse of a vulnerable child. It's sickening. And this is where we find narcissists, particularly those, you know, with the dark personality triad, tetrad, flexing their muscles of pure evil. And it's truly sadistic, and they're able to get away with basically flying under the radar with most of the stuff that they do. And they get supported from legal and even medical systems to enable them to do this. Most people, they don't know what parental alienation is. And I can tell you, I've seen this played out actually in real time. And at that moment, I didn't know what I was actually looking at. I didn't know because I didn't even know the term parental alienation existed. When we don't know something exists, it's usually going to be invisible to our eyes, of course. It makes sense. So I'm going to explain all about this today. And when it comes to narcissists or narcopaths and their kids, this is when we get to see some of the cruelest and the most sadistic levels of depravity in operation. Because you see, when narcissists have power over any human life that is dependent on them and also is vulnerable, this is when they feel like they have the license to do whatever the hell they want. And they will play God, but not in a loving or spiritual way, in a tyrannical way, in an unhinged kind of Roman emperor way that sits on a throne whilst you're in the arena, and they're getting to decide basically what your fate will be with their thumb. And why this is so sick is because they are infringing on human free will and choice. And this is what actually makes narcissistic abuse spiritual abuse. And it's very similar, if not the same, to what goes on in those sadistic ritual abuse cults. What children serve to narcissists are unpassable and unmissable opportunities to do some serious harm to others. Children are actually really functional as weapons of human and soul destruction for narcissists to use. They're actually pawns. They're pawns to be used and abused. And narcissists, do they love their kids or care about their needs? No, of course they don't. Not in the slightest. It's all about them and what humans, even their own children, serve to benefit them, basically. Teal Swan actually made a couple of great videos on this subject, and I'm going to put them in the video description along with some other links if you are impacted by this subject. Obviously, I'm not affiliated with Teal in any way, shape or form, but if those videos are going to be helpful to you, then I'm very happy to send you her way. And once again, as always, if you appreciate this video that I'm making today, please do like it, share it with anybody that you think may benefit from hearing it. And obviously, if you have navigated this yourself and you have wisdom that you'd like to share, then please do use the comment section and let's support each other the best that we can. Whenever we talk about narcissists, what's actually important to understand is that there are only ever two things that are truly important to a narcissist. It's their main driver, and it's what they care about the most every single day, and that's power and control. With this in mind, the two things that narcissists hate and they fear the most are loss of power and a loss of control. Now, the narcissist is always looking through the lens of having and maintaining power and control, and the things that you're going to perceive as not a threat as a healthy, regular person, the narcissist is so obsessed by power and maintaining control that they see practically everything and everyone as a threat to that. Narcissists are also incredibly emotionally possessive and jealous, and it's funny because they might tell you that they aren't jealous or possessive at all. But when they see something or someone as theirs, they really do not share, because sharing is a threat to their power and control. And let me tell you, when love is involved, and I'm not talking about, love like we know it, because they don't have the capacity of love. When somebody else's love is involved for a human being that they believe is theirs, and the feeling's mutual, this is when they're extremely jealous, and this is the kind of envy and jealousy that produces the most vindictiveness and cruelty in them. So imagine the scenario of possessiveness and vindictiveness that you have when you have a child with a narcissist. And like the vast majority of relationships with narcissists, they're not going to end well, because this isn't a person of reason or maturity or any form of kindness. Narcissists are bitter, spiteful, vengeful. They can be extremely sadistic. And when you're an ex-partner and you share children, this is when the narcissist side emerges from them, because mainly they're very threatened by you, as they don't like to share anybody. And also narcissists can get triggered to destroy people that haven't actually done anything to them, not at all. But there's very much that black and white thinking and that attitude that if you're not with me, you're against me. And when you're on the wrong side of them, they can really up the ante and they can rampage for your destruction. And that brings them relief, and it can even bring them pleasure to hurt you the best way that they know how, which is through your children. Narcissists do have a destruction drive and a pain drive, and they inflict this upon many people to varying levels. Taking your children away from you and coming in to destroy your loving relationship is one of the most sickest and sadistic and most damaging things that they could ever do to anybody, because they don't care. They don't care. They're thinking only about their power and feeling good about themselves. And the levels of sadism and evil that emerges from this, they are trying to end you. And instead of a GUN, because they know that they're not allowed to do something like that, they don't want to be seen or caught for being a criminal. Instead of an actual weapon to harm you physically, they pick up a child. It's a different kind of weapon. And the narcissist knows this is the best weapon. It's better than any sharp pointed thing that they could find, because they know that by taking away your children, it will cut you the deepest. And the harm isn't physical, it's emotional and mental and spiritual. And this pain and the spiral downwards that can ensue from this can make you physically sick, and it can cause you to even harm yourself. It's known. People do it because they are so hurt and they feel like nothing is worth it anymore. And this is incredibly criminal. Narcissists love it. They can get away with such things because they're underneath the radar. And what I'd like to make anyone aware is, if narcissists could make everyone their emotional hostages and take live captives, then they would. This is what they do to their children. They capture them as emotional hostages and slaves, and they're under narcissistic incarceration for a very long time until they have a chance to break free. But if left to the narcissist's will, they'd never break free, because that's not the narcissist's intentional wish. And what they readily do and are able to get away with their children is a reflection of what they would literally do to anybody if they could get away with it. They crush life and opportunity for any kind of growth, and they take soul prisoners because a narcissist doesn't want your life to be your own. And this is very clearly not just a psychological condition. This goes to a very deep spiritual level. And what anybody needs to do after a narcissist has got their fangs into them is to reclaim yourself as your own. Everybody has to go through this process. But this process is just a lot more complex and difficult when you're a child of a narcissist due to the enmeshment. The child's path is to individually reclaim themselves. And it's not something that just happens in one go. The truth doesn't hit you all at once. It's a process. It's a life process. If you are an alienated parent, then please do know that you're not alone. You need as much support from friends and family as what you can get. And even though it is easier said than done, the worst thing that you can do is to give up on life. You need to find a greater purpose to live for. Don't let them have a greater win. And I'll share some hope that we cannot predict the future. We don't know what will happen. If you have been a loving parent and the narcissist alienated your child or children from you, then there are times, it's not uncommon, when the child comes of age and moves out of their narcissist's home, away from their abusive influence, when they're able to make their own decisions to reach back out to their parent that they haven't spoken to maybe in years. It's not unheard of. It does happen. But whatever the outcome for ourselves, we have to find a purpose greater and sometimes even greater than ourselves to keep going. And there's a YouTube channel called the Anti-Alienation Project. I've seen some of her videos where a young woman speaks about her experience as a child whose parent was alienated from her. So in one of her videos, I'm going to link to below, she says that despite the narcissistic parent's brainwashing, the child deeply misses and they want a connection with the alienated parent. And they may not be fully conscious of that for quite some time until they realize the truth of how they were abused by having their perception of reality completely warped and their chance of a relationship with their loving parent disconnected. She speaks about how the child is left with a void that the parent probably has too. And the thing that she said that stuck in my mind is that the kid wants the alienated parent to love them. And this made me realize that however hard it is for an alienated parent, they should never give up on that relationship. I think people can give up because they think it's not what the child wants. And the thing is, the child may and probably is deeply confused even after they've left the home or influence of the narcissist and have grown up. Truth isn't something that's going to hit them in one go. Like I said, it's a process that starts to unravel. She said that she felt like she was mentally held hostage and was so guilty and so scared to enjoy time with the targeted parent because it feels like she was betraying the narcissist. She also said that everything actually that the narcissist is they project onto the children, but it's way worse than anybody could imagine. The narcissist does all in their power that the image of the other parent is taken down. I've heard of some discards from targeted parents that were with the narcissist, either in a partnership or marriage with children, and they offended the narcissist somehow. Now, offending a narcissist is not difficult. It could be not tolerating their abuse, could be setting a boundary, standing up for yourself. It could be starting therapy. It could literally be anything. Narcissists have very fragile egos. They're incredibly easy to offend. And once you offend them, they very easily and very quickly demonize you. And many times this can lead them onto a mission to seek revenge. And it won't be fair. This is an enemy, and they've been so close to you. So they know every single chink in your armor. And they make damn sure that they use the information that they have on you, the intel on you, to really hurt you. And this is where the sadism comes in, because it brings them a great deal of pleasure to bring you down and destroy you. And you can almost see them licking their lips. They like it so much. It gives them a kick. Narcissists are always looking at what tools they got around them that can be played. And you could be the best mother the best father in the world to your children, it doesn't matter. This is not about that. It's about attacking you and punishing you for how the narcissist basically feels. And the narcissist doesn't care if you're a good parent or not. Actually, the better a parent you are, the more of a threat you are, because it becomes a competition then for the child or the children and the control of them. The narcissist wants the children to choose them. But when a child is of love and they can sense the love in their parent or lack of it, naturally, I've seen children gravitate more towards the loving parent, the non-narcissistic parent, the targeted parent, whilst having, though, this awareness that showing their love and their preference doesn't go down well with a narcissistic parent. It's a betrayal, and it produces a lot of angst and very bad situations and punishments for them. So narcissists are aware that they can't compete with loving parents. They can't. They know that a child and a parent that share a bond of love is something that's not possible for them to have. And so loving relationships, particularly between children and the targeted parent, is such a threat to them because they don't have the power and control of it. They're not part of it. And narcissists, they need to be part of everything, in the center. They need to be in it. It's too much of a threat if they're outside of it. So they have to establish their position of authority, and they do everything to drive that wedge between the parent and the child or children. Actually, the worst times that I've seen in this kind of dynamic is a situation when the narcissist is split up with their partner and they're co-parenting and they're trying to share time. And every time the children go to the targeted parent, the narcissist will do everything in their power to jeopardize that time and to have control of it. And sometimes this is overcome, but if the narcissist gets the impression that the child or children actually enjoy spending time with the other parent, this is a real disaster. This can be real disaster for people because this is when they can start to plot something really evil. And I'd be almost tempted to say that reverse psychology could work, because if the narcissist thinks that the children don't really like spending time too much with the parent and they prefer the narcissist, there's less cause for that kind of narcissistic jealousy. But however you look at it, the narcissist always needs to have control and to be in the number one spot in the spotlight. Relationships to them is all about control. Shared custody is often too much of a threat, so they seek to eradicate the other parent's influence completely, while simultaneously destroying the ex-partner. Narcissists can try two methods for alienating children. Either they're able to brainwash them against the other parent, or if the love bond with the other parent is very, very well established and it can't be dismantled because the child is aware of the truth, then the narcissist will take matters into their own hands and get the law involved and create a line narrative to push the other parent out of the picture. This is incredibly destructive. Obviously, it's incredibly cruel. And it just goes to show that, narcissists, they don't care about the well-being of their children. In fact, this is abuse, taking away a loving parent that they have a right to a relationship with and eradicating their choice is a complete disgrace. Parents, healthy parents, should only ever be able to kind of cut those connections and get involved if there is a serious threat and safeguarding issue. But this isn't an issue with the parent. This is an issue with the narcissist. And the trouble is, the children that live with a narcissist full time, they're going to be under their influence, totally under their control. And they're going to be aware that they're expected to go along with serving the narcissist agenda. Children like that, they don't get a say in it. And they just have to go along with it to keep themselves safe. It's not safe for them to have a choice or to show their own free will. It's not. That's really dangerous. And through fear, they can be easily controlled into coming away from their other parent, rejecting and abandoning them, not because they want to, but because they must. Even if they really don't want to, the narcissist will be telling them what they want and how they should feel. They have to feel what the narcissist tells them. So often they become very confused, naturally, disconnected with themselves, and they disassociate. Let's make no mistake though, this is a serious crime, yet it's not recognized as a criminal offense. There is so much narcissistic abuse and coercive control that goes on within these family dynamics behind closed doors. Residential evil, as I call it. And nobody has the faintest clue on the outside what's going on, because we look at everything on the surface. And when it looks perfectly reasonable and average, okay, unfortunately, we can't see emotional or psychological damage unless somebody completely breaks us. There's no real way to measure it. So if we see this child is acting sort of, normalish, they're confirming the script of the narcissistic parent, then who's not going to believe it? Who's going to question it? We don't realize perhaps the child is terrified or brainwashed or disassociated. People see the surface level, and narcissists keep on polishing it. This is a serious crime, and it's not just on any level. The narcissist is doing known damage to their children, but it's far worse for the children because they're innocent. The narcissist has got no right to cut off their connection to their loving parent. But why should the narcissist care? They think that they're God, and they think that they have the right to be the main authority and the one that gets to decide. It may not be so bad if they had other people's best interests, but they have their worst interests, not their best. Children are considered objects of narcissistic possession, and it never comes down to doing what's best for anybody other than for the narcissist's own power and control, not to threaten their authority or dominance. Basically, it's a battle of thrones. It's a game for them. It's a game of power which they're hell-bent on winning. And the problem with this is when parental alienation happens, it's so difficult to fight against because the legal system, even the medical system, they're not clued up at all, and they seem to be enabling this. In fact, actually, they may have been constructed by psychopaths and narcissists. But good people that are working within them, because there are good people also in the legal systems, there are good people in the medical systems, but they haven't got a clue how they're brainwashed. They haven't got a clue about looking beyond the surface. They don't know anything about the subject of narcissists. People don't have a clue. So many videos and so many channels, just like mine, putting out the information, yet the vast majority of people do not have a clue. They're in a bubble. So if you are in this kind of situation, you need to gather a lot of documented evidence. But then, proving anything can be so difficult, especially when the children align with the lies of the narcissistic parent. Not because necessarily they believe it. Sometimes they do, but they don't have a choice. Male or female narcissists, they can have different tactics. They're going to use gender as a system, as I've said before, to gain the upper hand and attack. They work with that, I think it's extremely challenging if it is a female narcissist and she goes to the law or to the doctor and claims that the targeted parent, who's male, is abusive and a danger. Because remember, they're great actors. But on the other side, male narcissists can use their physical dominance and their positions of power in society and with money that they have gained the upper hand with, and they'll try to crucify the female targeted parent, financially, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, in every way, crucify them. Narcissistic parents can pressurize, terrorize, and coerce children into not wanting to spend time with the other parent. Even if this isn't true, they can convince doctors, mental health professionals, the legal system, that it is the child's choice, which then reinforces whatever lie the narcissist actually said about this targeted parent. And I spoke about the role of the smear campaign in another video. I'll link that one down below. And what happens is, at the end of relationships with narcissists, they need to come out of it on top and squeaky clean. They need to protect and preserve their image. And so the only way that they can look good is to make you look really bad. And the badder the better, because the worse you are, the more saintly they can be. And the real truth is always the other way. It's a very difficult situation because for the targeted parent, they feel like their hands are tied, like they can't actually do anything. Extremely frustrating to try to get access to somebody that you love, that's been alienated and taken away from you. Extremely painful for anybody going through this. And believe me, my love, my heart goes out to anybody in this situation. And I wish that more people knew about it, which is the intention of actually speaking about it from my perspective. I've seen this, like I told you, and I didn't even know what I was looking at because I believed the lies of a narcissist that told me that the other parent was abusive. Now, I'm sure that that wasn't even remotely the case, but I had no access to the full data. I was just being given one person's opinion, one person's lies that I was believing because the act was so amazing. They are Hollywood actors. They are Oscar-worthy performances. They're very, very believable. And unfortunately, like I said, we don't know enough about narcissists. We don't know enough about psychopaths. We don't realize how they're so close to us. They're all around us. I'm not being scary. I'm just saying they're here. They're out there. Our lives touch them. And we're studying with channels like this, other channels, we are studying their playbook and understanding how we can combat them. Every single person's situation is completely different, so I can't give specific advice and say, you must do this. There is no one size fits all like I spoke about before. The only thing that I can say to anybody in this horrendous situation is to never lose hope. Never ever lose hope that you can't have again a relationship that's resurrected with your child or children that's been alienated from you. Because children, many times, they grow up and they mature. And when they come out of the narcissist's influence outside of the home and they gain more autonomy and independence, hopefully, they can start to understand more of the truth. And it doesn't always come at once. It may take time, but it is my hope that this happens for everybody, that we wake up to the lies that were told to us and we don't lose loving people that want the best for us, because narcissists never do. So I'm putting some support links down below in the description box, and also Teal Swan's videos that go into a lot of practical advice that you may find really helpful if you want to listen to more on this subject. For now, thanks so much for watching. Take care, sending love, and I'll see you all again next time.